What I got to say you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people's priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty?
You want honesty? This is Tim. This is Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk out town. Someone said to me, Tim, it's been going too well lately. Getting more subscribers, getting more views. How are you going to blow it up? Well, stay tuned. Big shout out to Daniel Bellinger. He had successful eye surgery today. Hopefully he's only going to be out for 2 to 6 weeks. We have our fingers crossed with that. We hope the young man heals quickly, heals positively, and is able to come back and contribute somewhat for the rest of the season. It's a broken orbital eye socket, so you don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks, you don't know if it's going to be 6 weeks, it could be 8 weeks. We don't know. But we have to just hope that he can find his way and stay in football shape and then make it back to the Giants, down towards a stretch run. So, of course, Kadarius Toney has been moved on by the Giants. He was sent to Kansas City for a conditional 3rd rounder and a 6th round pick. I think I've made it no secret whatsoever since the day of the draft, hanging with the Dahmer, Big L, LJ, Mark Thompson, T. Brad, James Williams, and a plethora of other people. I made it. I did not hide the fact that I was not a fan of the Kadarius Toney pick. I thought that his last season in Florida was a COVID season, which was one of the reasons why he was successful, because he was a 4-year player at Florida. But like I said, I just didn't think he was a fit for the organization. I didn't think his skill set lent it to what this team needed. And everyone seems to forget, we went out and got Kadarius Toney because we needed to get weapons for Daniel Jones. You got to get weapons. My wife hates that terminology. She's like, can't they use something else besides weapons? And she's talking about social media. She's not talking about the commentators. She's like, because that's all you ever hear is he needs weapons. How many he needs receivers? How many he needs skill guys? There you go, Mrs. Online Big Blue. But I just never felt he was going to be a fit. I said that, like I said, from the first day we drafted him. Even after the Dallas game, I pointed out the fact that he's not a route runner. That the nicest thing they could say about him coming out of college was he was a unique route runner. That he was more of a jitterbug. He was more of a guy that catches the ball. He needs to catch the ball in space and do what he does. And I said it a million times. The problem with that theory is the league figures that out quick. You park someone, as a defensive player, you park yourself in front of him and you wait for help. And that's kind of what happened. He had the one big game in Dallas, basically like 2.5 quarters. He had the big 2.5 quarter game. But that's what he did. That's what he did for his career. He's been injured. He's gone through 2 separate regimes. Both regimes were like, you know what, we like him as a player. Of course, it's always coaches speak. We like him as a player. Of course, because they're not going to come out and say, well, we hated him. We want to get rid of him. We want to move on from him. No, but that's just what it is. But the problem I have is the fact that for all of his faults, Kadarius Toney is still a professional athlete. He was still a high-level skilled athlete at the University of Florida. And after all that, of course, he's the rapper. I never liked his raps. I said I rap better than he does. But after all that, he's a chucklehead on social media. But even with all that, a good portion of the fan base loved him. They saw his potential after that Dallas game. They fell in love with him. They thought he was going to be the next he's going to be Tyreek Hill. And luckily, and then we sent him to Kansas City. He was going to be Tyreek Hill. He's awesome. And then as the season wore on, he didn't play. And as the season wore on and he played sparingly, there was still a love affair with Kadarius Toney. When we get Kadarius Toney back, it's going to be awesome. I could see them on the phone now. When we get Kadarius Toney back, it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. Because this is the NFL and his skill sets lend itself to the new NFL. I can hear it from the basement. But as soon as Kadarius Toney gets shipped out, as soon as Kadarius Toney leaves, the venom comes out. Now, it was not Kadarius Toney's fault that he got traded. The Giants just moved on from him because of the fact that Joe Schoen is a smart enough guy to understand that he's not a fit for this team. He's not a fit for this organization right now. And it was, it's addition by subtraction. But I love it because all the fans that were in love with him are all of a sudden now bashing him. And I get shit because of the fact that I say, I wish him luck in Kansas City. I do. I made fun of DeAndre Baker, called him the Nino Brown of the NFL. He should have been more the G-Money Wells. But after he left and after things got cleared up and he went on his merry way, I wished him luck. Because he's still an NFL player. He's still an NFL talent. He's still a guy making a living in the NFL. And to do that, your window of opportunity to make money in the NFL is very small. It's like, what, 3.5 seasons is the average career? And the majority of the team does not make, rookie money, first round rookie draft choice money. Some people, a lot do, but some don't. So he went on to Kansas City. He was traded. But I just find it interesting that all of a sudden it's like when fans attack. It's like when animals attack. It used to be on the Animal Planet. When animals attack, they go after this guy, and they all of a sudden all knew now that he was terrible, that he was never going to be a fit in New York, that he was mentally weak and couldn't handle the city. How the hell do you know this? If you are not a professional athlete, if you did not play at maybe at a major college level, you are handling the pressure daily. You handle the pressure daily. Especially when you're a 5-star, a 3-star, a 4-star recruit going to a major university. You know what pressure is. Kadarius Toney never seemed to crack under the pressure. He just never seemed to fit. He wasn't an Ed Whitson. He wasn't a Bobby Bonilla, because you're never gonna knock the smile off his face. He was a guy that just did not pan out in New York. Yeah, and it's going to suck because he's a former first-round pick. And he'll probably go on to Kansas City and, hopefully, for his sake, revitalize his career. But it just kills me that the people living in these glass houses who loved him just a short while ago, who thought he was the messiah of the wide receivers, are now turned and have turned against him like rabid dogs. And at the end of the day, when I'm the voice of reason and sanity, we got problems. Because to me, you know what? He didn't work out, and he didn't work out. That's fine. You know what? That happens with players. I don't sit there and have ill will against players for them not working out, because I'm not 12 years old. I don't sit there and you go on Twitter and you go on Facebook. I got to stay off Facebook now, because now you have all these people on Facebook posting like messages they got from Kadarius Toney, and half of them are bullshit. But these are just people that want to be a part of this, and want to have that gotcha moment. The only problem is you can't have the gotcha moment when you sat there and said for a year and a half how wonderful this guy was going to be and how wonderful he was going to fit in the system. But all of a sudden now you're saying he's crap, and you knew it. Bullshit. Sorry, I'm calling it. Bullshit. Calling it. And you know what? At the end of the day, he's still a human being. He's still a man trying to make a career for himself in the NFL. And you're going to sit there and say things like, he was faking injuries. Yeah, he did post that weird cryptic post about not being injured, but that was probably him just being stupid, because he's also a 20-something-year-old kid. So you got to take a lot of this shit with a grain of salt. But I'm not just talking about the Giant fan base. All fan bases do this, but you turn on people turn on these players as soon as they leave their team. And maybe it's something I learned as I've gotten older in life. And that's why I laugh when people are like, well, you're not a real Giant fan because you don't wear Giant gear on your live streams. You wear gear of other, you wear jerseys from other teams. Yeah, because I'm not 12. I understand the fact that you can buy gear from other teams. I have jerseys probably from all 32 teams. Because I understand at the end of the day, it's just a sport. And these people that you're holding up to a high level and extolling their virtues, but then you tear them down the moment they leave, is just not right. It's not, and I don't get it. Saquon Barkley, God bless his soul, asked him, about him getting traded. He said, it's the NFL, Kadarius Toney, that is. Anytime there's a trade, you're going to be shocked. KT has talent, is a talented player. I wish him nothing but the best of luck in Kansas City. I never want to take anything away from KT. Like I said, he is a talented player. For us right now, it is just to continue the same 1-0 mindset, fall in love with the process, and go to Seattle and try to come out with a win. Boom! The right thing to say. It just aggravates me, because I sit there and I get called all this crap about not being a real fan. But I'm the one that's always at the games. I'm the one that's gone to the games since '76. But I'm not a real fan. But then I get in trouble because of the fact that I don't blast people when they leave the organization. I may make fun of you when you're here. Hell yeah, I admit that 100%. But at the end of the day, I know you're still a human trying to make a career in the NFL. And those armchair quarterbacks who have never played anything competitive in their life, have probably never strapped on a helmet, have never felt the sting of a safety rocking you from the blind side, have never felt the pain that is in your shoulders as you level into the ball carrier, are going to sit there and talk about an NFL player and how he can't fit in the system because of the fact that he just doesn't have the mental fortitude or he's weak of mind to this. It's crap. Because unless you walk in another person's shoes, why would you even say things like that? Maybe it's because of the fact that I am a former player and I understand the pain that goes involved. Even if, there are always some people that have lower tolerance for pain. And, we used to call them, sometimes guys, you would call them, they're like glass, but they still go on the field because there's a different tolerance to things. But in the locker room, you always want that guy to succeed. And then when they leave your team, you don't wish them ill. You wish them the best success that they can have somewhere else, because at the end of the day, they're a person like you. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you subscribe, if you could ring that like you want to move, that'd be awesome.